The way the Raiders handle free agency at quarterback will give a big clue about their draft strategy. If they spend a lot of money on someone like Sam Darnold, they probably won't pick a quarterback early in the draft. But if they don't make a major move in free agency, they could be planning to draft one in the first round. It'll be interesting to see what the new leadership decides. But overall, this free agent quarterback class isn't very exciting. Instead of overspending on an average player, the Raiders might be better off looking at other positions in free agency. One area where they should avoid spending big in free agency is running back. The draft has plenty of strong options at that position. The wide receiver situation is where things get interesting. One name that keeps coming up is T. Higgins. He's 26 years old and has put up solid numbers in his career: 330 receptions, over 4,500 yards, and 34 touchdowns in 70 games. Last season alone, he had 73 catches for 910 yards and 10 touchdowns in just 12 games. There's no doubt he's talented, but there are some concerns. Over the last 2 seasons, he's missed 10 games, and he's had at least one missed game every season. Availability matters, especially for a team like the Raiders who don't have a reliable quarterback right now. Plus, with his market value at $25.4 million, that's a big investment. Higgins has been a great number, 2 receiver alongside Jamar Chase, but if the Raiders pay him that much, he has to be a true number. 1. That's not a sure thing, so it might be smarter to look at other wide receiver options. One area where the Raiders should consider making a big move is the offensive line. A great target would be offensive guard Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's only 25, already one of the best run-blocking guards in the league, and has a lot of upside. Signing him wouldn't just strengthen the Raiders' offensive line, it would also weaken a division rival. His market value is high at $19.7 million, but guard is a major need. If the Raiders plan to draft a young quarterback, protecting him should be a top priority. Football games are won in the trenches, and investing in the offensive line is one of the best ways to build a strong team. All right, let's break this down and make sense of the Raiders' offseason and where they stand right now. Going into this year's offseason, the Las Vegas Raiders have a lot of money to work with, about $95 million in cap space, which is the second most in the NFL. They could free up even more by making a few roster changes. With a new head coach, a new general manager, and big names like Tom Brady now part of the organization, there's a lot of work to do. The team has many needs, and how they spend this money will be very interesting. One of the biggest concerns is the quarterback position. Running back is another area that could use help. Adding another wide receiver wouldn't hurt either. The offensive line, especially the interior, needs improvement. Defensively, they need a solid linebacker who can cover passes, more depth at cornerback, and help at edge rusher. On top of all that, some key players are about to become free agents, so they'll have to decide who to bring back. Even though they have a lot of money, it could disappear quickly because of all these needs. But the most interesting decision will be at quarterback. The free agent options this year don't look great. For example, Sam Darnold is one of the top quarterbacks available after a strong season with the Minnesota Vikings. But he's expected to demand around $40 million, which is a huge price for a player who has only had one really good year. He played in a great system with strong coaching, great wide receivers like Justin Jefferson, and a solid running game. That helped him succeed. Now, with the Raiders hiring Chip Kelly, there's more confidence in their offensive play calling, but is Darnold the right guy? To spend that much money, you'd have to be completely sure he's the future of the team. And, right now, it's hard to say if he is. Sam Darnold is a solid quarterback who helped his team win games, but when it mattered most, during the playoffs, he didn't perform well. His team was eliminated quickly, and that raises concerns about whether he's the right long-term option for the Raiders. Spending $40 million a season on him is a big risk, especially since he's still young and would likely want a long-term deal of 4 years or more. That's a huge investment, and honestly, it doesn't seem like the right move for the Raiders. Another big name available is Aaron Rodgers, a former Green Bay Packers star. But at this point in his career, he's getting older. He had decent stats with the New York Jets in 2024, but he probably has only 1 year left before retirement. Rodgers also comes with a big personality, which could be a problem in the locker room. He's not the type to mentor young quarterbacks or take a back seat. He wants control of the offense and to be the main focus of the team. Bringing him in could cause unnecessary issues, and it just doesn't seem like a good fit for the Raiders. Then there's Russell Wilson. He could be another option, but his situation is complicated. He has a history with coach Pete Carroll, but it's unclear how things ended between them. If the Raiders wanted Wilson, they should have made a move last year when they could have signed him for a lower price. Now, he's likely to demand around $30 to $35 million per season. Wilson is still a solid quarterback and could be a short-term solution, but he also comes with some drama. Recently, there were rumors that his team leaked information about his situation with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which led to the team deciding to move on from him. That kind of distraction might not be what the Raiders need. There could definitely be some tension between Russell Wilson and Pittsburgh as he exits, so that's something to keep in mind. Another option is Justin Fields. He's younger and more affordable, and his athleticism could work well with Chip Kelly's experience coaching mobile quarterbacks. However, Fields isn't really a bridge quarterback, because he still needs development himself. That means he wouldn't be the best mentor for a young rookie, which is important if the Raiders decide to draft a quarterback this year. If the Raiders do draft a quarterback, they don't have to start him right away. But if they go that route, having an experienced veteran in the locker room to guide him would be a smart move. Daniel Jones is another interesting name in free agency. If the Raiders could sign him to a short-term deal, maybe a 2-year contract, he could be a solid temporary solution. That would be a better option than paying big money for Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, or even Justin Fields. But again, it all depends on his market value. If he demands $30+ million and a long-term contract, it wouldn't make sense for the Raiders to go after him. There are other names to watch in free agency too. Linebacker Dre Greenlaw could be a solid addition, especially if the Raiders bring back Robert Spillane. That could be a strong duo in the middle of the defense. At cornerback, adding a veteran would also help. Charvarius Ward from the 49ers would be a great option. The Raiders already have a promising young corner in Jacorian Bennett, but Jack Jones struggled with consistency last season. He gave up big plays and wasn't great in run defense. Upgrading the secondary, either in free agency or early in the draft, would be a smart move. There are a lot of solid free agents to keep an eye on, and the Raiders have plenty of decisions to make. When it comes to the Raiders' cap space and free agency, there are several in-house players who should be priorities for re-signing. One of the biggest names is linebacker Robert Spillane. His market value is around $10.4 million, and he's worth it. He's been solid, he's the captain of the defense, and he brings the kind of leadership and intensity the team has needed at linebacker for years. Bringing him back should be a no-brainer. Another key player to re-sign is Nate Hobbs. He's a strong nickel cornerback, but injuries have been a concern throughout his career. The Raiders need to get him at the right price, but if they can, he should be a priority. Trayvon Moehrig is another player worth bringing back if the deal makes sense. At the edge rusher position, the team should try to retain at least one of Malcolm Kuntze or Kalavon Chason. Both have upside and provide valuable depth. Kuntze, in particular, looked like a rising star at the end of the 2023 season, but his injury last year was a major setback. The challenge with Kuntze is his market value. Some projections have him at $20 million, which is a huge number for someone with only half a season of strong NFL tape and coming off an injury. If the Raiders can bring him back on a short-term prove-it deal, that would be ideal. Overall, the Raiders have plenty of cap space to make moves, but they need to be smart about it. They should focus on key positions, add depth at linebacker and cornerback, and make sure to re-sign important players. The right free agency strategy will set the tone for the upcoming season, and it will be interesting to see how it all plays out.